Good evening, everybody. Joe Martin Millard here. Hope you're going well. I'm just at Stoke on Trent railway train station, just waiting for my train back to London tonight. I have taken a trip up to Birmingham this weekend to visit some old friends of mine, and it's been a really emotional trip for me because I've not been back to Birmingham in over 2 years. Last time I was in Birmingham, I was living with this Afro-Jamaican woman for a whole month during the start of the whole pandemic. Reason being, I was made homeless at the start of the pandemic because the woman I was living with in London kicked me out of her house. So I went to live with this Jamaican lady in Birmingham, and she wasn't really a nice woman to live with. She would complain to me not to do business with Pakistani-run shops, and which I find that really hurtful and xenophobic because I have friends of mine who are of Pakistan descent, and in Birmingham as well, I have a lot of Caribbean friends. So I came up to Birmingham on Sunday afternoon to go to Quentin Parish Church, which is where I used to live for the first few months in Birmingham during 2017. And I had a really nice church to go to, and after 2 years of not going to that church, and I haven't been at church in the last 2 years because of the pandemic, I felt really welcome back. And I kind of believe that I should be going back to church these days because most of the time I'm just watching it online. Even though everything's pretty much just gone back to normal just like that, people are still doing online church services for those who can't attend, which is reasonable because there are plenty of other people who can't get out of their homes or who have a very busy life and who don't always make it to church every Sunday. So I stayed with my friends in Birmingham last night, and then I took the train up to Stoke to visit a good friend of mine who I haven't seen in a couple of months. I had some fun times hanging out at her place in Staffordshire, and I'm just waiting for my train back now. And so it's always nice to come back to Birmingham, no matter what happened to me in the past. I mean, I know I didn't really succeed much in Birmingham. I know I didn't always have a good job. I always didn't have a good place to live. But I mean, Birmingham was the first place I ever came to live in this country. And people can talk crap about it and say it is a shithole, or people can say it's quite racist. And I've said in the past that Birmingham is a bit of a xenophobic shithole because I experienced a lot of xenophobia in this part of England due to the fact that I wasn't even born in this country. But then again, you know, that there are good towns and bad towns and all. But sadly, when I was on the bus in the last few days, I just tend to notice a lot of drug users all around Birmingham, just scattered about. Homeless people, abusing drugs, smoking vape on the buses. And then this morning I was on the bus getting into town, and this guy who was mixed race, and he had a huge birthmark on his head. This guy came on the bus and started shouting obscenities at him, throwing his hat off, and they were both arguing, and I thought, oh my god, this is gonna get violent. So I remember I didn't get off the bus, just went downstairs, and people just kept on just yelling their heads off. And it's not really a nice part of town. I mean, you do tend to meet these types of people as if you get out of your own hometown and you travel abroad. I remember the time I went to Bay Cup last year to visit where Johnny Clegg was born. I was confronted by two blokes who were high on drugs. I noticed that their teeth were pretty bad, worse than mine. And they were asked me what I was doing here. And I told them the story, how I came up to pay my respects to Johnny Clegg, was born in this town, and they both had to shake my hand and say, mate, I congratulate you for coming up here all the way from London, and they all wanted to listen to Johnny Clegg, and so they wrote down his name. I mean, if I'm going to go to Johannesburg in a few weeks' time, but I'm not really too certain about the safety measures around to Joburg and all. But I just believe that I won't go walking out of the night. But I do want to visit places that Johnny Clegg did live in Joburg. But anyway, I'm going to go to Birmingham in a few weeks' time for the Commonwealth Games, because As a matter of fact, they're hosting the Commonwealth Games at the end of July, and it goes for about 10ish, 11ish days. So I want to see it while I'm in Britain, and I'm going to get out of Britain at the end of August. And I've got big things coming up. Hopefully get to my 100th nation by, maybe September, October. I've already got like a return ticket from London to Southern Africa, but I'm not too sure if I'll be using that ticket to fly back, because, I've got so many countries to visit. Anyway, this is Martin Millhead, over and out.